Alrighty. So if you are watching the playback, welcome. I think we are having a very slow start.
Yes.
Bear with us. All good. Alrighty. So just an update for anyone who does watch the playback. Izzy is possibly going to be here, maybe not, depending on how things going. She's currently stuck in traffic and she may be in the chat. So all good.
Howdy.
Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Alrighty. So we are talking about Fate's Edge, which was book 3.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey. Hey, Julie.
How did you two feel about it?
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Go ahead.
You go, Megan.
Now you finish your thought.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think someone put in our group chat that the chapters felt really long, and they did feel really long because it took me a really long time to read it in a good way. But
I love Calder, so I was like, this is great. But the bad guys gave me the same vibes that the recurring bad guy in the Black Dagger Brotherhood gave.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my least favorite part of that series, and it's one of the reasons I stopped reading it. So
Yeah.
I was like, this is just any time it was like their point of view, I was just like, I could do without you, and this would still be a great book.
Yeah. Well, at least there's only one more book, so you don't have to deal with them for much longer.
Yeah, that's true.
I really liked it. I liked that it wasn't as dark as the first couple books, and I really liked all the characters that we got to be with in this one, so I think that made me like it even more. So I think this one is my favorite of the series so far for those reasons.
I do love the beginnings of Gaston, Jack, and George.
Sophie.
Yeah. And Sophie.
Because they were the original 3.
Yeah.
And then so it was just, I was like, how do they know each other? Because they're from different families. And now I'm like, oh, that's funny. I also didn't realize the like age difference, I guess, between George and Gaston is like 5 years. Because
I did write down the ages this time.
Gaston's 19, George is 14, and Jack is 12.
Yeah. Yes. Some of them quite literally.
They're gross.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it, and I liked that Jack and George were such a big part of it as well. They were probably a bigger part. Like Gaston was in it quite a bit, but I think Jack and George had more page time overall. And you kind of get to see where their story is going and why they've become the characters they've become in the Innkeeper Chronicles. So
I need their own series. I do. I need their series. I want to see how Jack and Gaston navigate the world, because I feel like we've only really seen George.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if this is me having a terrible memory, because Gaston has sharp teeth. I don't remember that being commented on in the Innkeeper Chronicles.
I think they said there was something about him in Innkeeper.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if it was like super detailed, but I do know that it said it was like, because it said there was like something vaguely like Gatory about him.
Yeah.
In the Innkeepers, because I was just like, oh, and his name is Gaston and he's French, and like French Gator, Louisiana Gator. So that's like my brain popped to that.
Yeah.
So I think it mentioned something, because I had thought that before.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I just kept thinking about in this book, because they mentioned his description a lot more in this one. I'm like, I don't remember it being that big a thing, so I don't know if something happens in the next book, or if it's like a glamour thing.
Also, the boys saying the word dude over and over again was just really funny. It was a great scene. It's like, dude, no, you need more emphasis on the first part. Dude.
I also like that the whole, like, their involvement is just predicated on Jack fully believing that he's going to get into trouble.
Mm-hmm. But like, George is a great brother, because George was like, I know he's not, but like, we need to see this through.
Yeah. But also, like, George was also very realistic, and so Jack is just very much thinking about himself.
Mm-hmm.
And until it hits him that it's not just about him and that other people are also going through it at the minute, we just have to see this through, because otherwise he's not going to learn.
Yeah.
And he's a little kid.
Yeah, I was like, he's 12.
He's 12.
Which I do like that Calder and Audrey really pointed out that's like they're children.
Yeah.
Like, they are 12 and 14. And Audrey was very cognizant of that. She was just like, he is a kid. Like, Jack is a small child just trying to live his life in the world.
Yeah.
And that was kind of nice to see, even though Calder was like, I had my first kill at blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Also, at that age, you're emotionally just all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't have the whole other species thing going for you, there are lots of kids that age that for no legitimate reason are like, my family would be better off without me. They would like, they don't even like me. They would want me gone. In good families, right? Not in one where they're getting any reason to believe that. Some of it is just being that age.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with 70 of them at the minute at the end of the school year.
Right.
Oh yeah. This is very accurate.
And the thing is with this one is that between him and George, they had the capability of going on an adventure when that was the feeling that they had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the beginning when Jack went to Will and Charisse's house, and he was like, well, Lark doesn't want to hang out with me anymore, and all of the girls love George the Dark Prince or whatever, and they just ignore me. And she was like telling him how to be cool and how to like attract girls, and that Lark is just trying to like act like an adult.
Yeah.
And it was just very cute that it was just like, because this is a talk that you would have with children if they're having issues in school. It's just like very normal in a very like unreal world. So it was just very nice.
Yeah,
it was.
I felt really bad for him though,
same.
because those emotions are real regardless of how well founded they are, especially at that age. The fact that you're being ridiculous doesn't make you feel any better.
Yeah. But I liked how they approached, I guess, talking to Jack. I also liked how Calder approached talking to the kids, because he didn't talk to them like, oh, you're just spoiled small children. But he also didn't talk to them like they were fully formed adults. He did like a really nice balance.
Yeah.
He didn't talk down to them. I appreciate that.
Right. Yeah. So it was just, I liked how that whole family communicates. The Mars. I love how the Mars communicate with people.
Yeah. And I was thinking about it after I finished the book, that I think when we started the series, or I don't even know if this is what the Andrews were thinking when they started this. Stop talking to me, watch. What they were thinking about, if it was going to be like separate romances in an interconnected world, or if it was always going to be one family and then another 3-book arc on another particular family, because it's almost like we started off with 2 distinct groups and then they've gone realized, oh, these characters are really interesting characters to write about. So I don't know how that was.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of surprised that we were getting 3 books in a row on Mars out of a 4-book series.
Yeah, like I'm not complaining about it, but
right.
To me, it doesn't seem as consistent as sort of because all their other series are very family centered, And this one is because Will is Declan's family, and so they're linked.
Mhm.
That's how
Right.
they link the two families. But I liked how this book really brought all of them together a lot more through the kids.
Yeah. Definitely.
Also, one thing that just kind of weirded me out, I don't know, was Calder's 32, Audrey's 23. Audrey's
Right.
closer to Gaston's age than to Calder's age.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
It
the
does.
only
I
reason,
would argue that Calder's emotional age is closer to Audrey's age
Right.
at times.
I would say that one, I don't mind an age gap when it's like, well, we've been thrown together and that's why we're interested in each other. It doesn't really have it. Like, I think it's weird when you're in one life stage or age group or whatever, and you're purposely going to one that's younger and in a lower stage
Yeah.
than you, but they're both adults that are just crossed together, and Audrey is mature and
yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong, they're one of my favorite pairings. I love them together. I would
Right.
read books about their escapades of like adventures in the mirror. I just was
Right.
like, oh, that's a
Yeah, it was
big
an
difference.
interesting thing.
Yeah, that their dynamic is really good, and they both understand exactly who the other person is. And
Yeah.
in fact, one of my favorite scenes in the whole book is when she calls him out when they're staying at the hotel or motel or whatever it was that they were staying at.
The Holiday Inn.
And it forces, she's gone, well, you actually just need to hear the truth of it. And it's like, I know we could have fun together, but I want this. And you don't see it that way yet.
Right.
And I like that he walked away and reflected on that.
Yeah.
They do play off of each other in a very fun way.
I also love that she's like, you can't take people in a fight. Like the whole time she's like, he's a grifter and a thief.
Right.
Like he can't fight. And then they're like, oh well, he just did this, and she's like, no, he didn't. It's like, no, he did. He's trained to fight. Just because that's not his like specialty doesn't mean he doesn't know how to fight.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that basically almost the entire book was people were like, no, he can hold his own. No, he's fine. No, like, give him a sword and he'll fight his way through. Or he's like, I can just cut them all down. And she's like, whatever.
Right. Okay.
Like, if you say so, mate.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite hero types specifically because it is so fun when you're getting it from someone else's perspective where like you're just, you're charming and you're funny and you're smooth talking, but you're not actually dangerous. And then they absolutely are.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was going to say something else. I've forgotten. Oh, they're like, I know we talked about it last time. We liked Calder because of his magic and the fact that he has to make a bet for things for his magic to kick in. And I like that it took Audrey a little while to realize that that's what it was. And then she finally starts asking him how it works. But I also like her magic and that it's
the lockpicking.
And also that it wasn't just easy for her. Like it was hard. And there are things that she had to learn how to work around because it's heavy to literally.
You had to learn how to like actually pick locks.
Yeah.
And then the magic just helped. And I thought that was cool. What was I had a thought when you were talking about that and then I forgot what it was.
We're a good pair today.
Yep. Something Audrey, something Calder. Oh, when Audrey said, man, you really like to bet, trying to figure out if that was his power. So she shook up like a can of Coke and put it on the table and was like, bet me that it won't fizz over. And he was like, I don't need to do that. And he just like taps it to like disperse bubbles and then he opens it and he's like, ta-da.
Like they're really fun characters. They're really fun.
They are. And I always like a con and I always like, that type of character if it's done well, because you have to be a clever writer to be able to write your characters being clever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just fun, and I thought they did a really good job. I liked the way that they, were perfect for each other in that way, and I really liked their meeting,
Mhm.
um, how I liked how he was like, "Look, if I don't come out or if you see her coming out, something's wrong. Here's your job,
Yep.
here's your job." And then he's in there trying to bust out of this chair like, "I'm not letting these kids rescue me from this chair. This is not happening right now." They were
Yeah,
fun.
they are clever, and they're quick thinkers, and as you get further in the book, they just play off each other so well.
Mhm.
With that, they just instinctively know what the other person is going to do because it's what they would do
Right.
Yeah.
in that situation.
Yeah. And especially for a couple of people who have spent their whole lives getting away with pulling
Mm.
one over on people and then being oblivious to the fact that they even just ran circles around them, right?
Yep.
It's gotta be just so satisfying to be able to share that with someone and they can just keep up with you.
Yeah. And I think it was probably at the end of the book where Calder was saying, like, "I actually like that you are better at things than I am,
Right,
Mhm.
and there are things that I'm better at than you,
right,
but we complement each other in that way."
right,
Yeah.
And it's not a competition, it's actually we complement each other.
right.
His whole confession dance scene was great.
The dance theme was great.
It was
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
really good.
He's just like, "Marry me," and she's like, "No," and then part of the dance, he has to get on his knees, and he's just like, "I'm begging you."
Yeah. Also, it was interesting with that scene and the other scenes in the castle, how their host was testing them on who they really were or not,
Mhm.
and they kinda kept surprising each other by being prepared.
Yeah.
And also the whole fact that, Calder, was the one getting drained because the nemesis didn't realize that, what's her face was there? I forget. I can't.
Charisse.
Yes. Because it made way more sense for her to go after her, right? So I
Yeah.
thought it was important for the plot if they're going for somebody that was in the box, it was
Mhm.
important for the plot that that person was like, "Look, if I had known she was here, that's who I'd have right now, but alas,
Yeah.
you'll do."
Yeah,
Yeah.
they threw her off the roof, like, they didn't even have time to process that she was one of the Mars.
Right. Well, and she'd been presented as a completely different
Yeah,
person. They
and the
it's one of those things
had
where
never met
you
her.
don't go yeah, you don't go through life being like, "Are you who you say you are?" to the
Yeah,
Yeah.
people that you meet. You are
Yeah.
only questioning it if you already know,
or if they're
basically,
acting
right?
sus.
Yeah.
Right, but, like, there was no
And
reason to suspect her.
Yeah,
yeah. And they've spent their whole time thinking that they're going straight after him because they're the one they've said, "We've seen him, we know he's involved,
yeah,
we know he's gonna be there, we're tracking him. Why would you think anyone else was gonna be there?"
yeah,
Right,
and Helena had never
exactly.
It's
met Charisse, so she only knew Calder.
Right,
yeah.
and she only
The
knew
whole
Calder because they had just figured out
Crossed
who
paths.
he
Yeah,
was once they were already on the case or whatever.
yeah. But every time Helena's name was in the book, because I was reading well, when I was reading it, because her name is Helena Dumray, I kept
mhm.
thinking, "Oh, it's H. Dumbre. It's you." I'm like, "Stop
Yep.
it." It was just a little bit too close for me, that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I took a photo of a quote that I had at the beginning that I thought was hilarious. When they're going into that guy that has collected all the things and sells them his house
Oh,
that she
no.
was friends with.
Gnome.
Yeah, no.
Um, at the door, Audrey called, "Are you coming?" And he said, "No, just breathing hard, love."
And
I
it took
thought
her a
that
minute
was
because it said
funny.
she, like, thought about it and then gasped.
Yeah, he glanced at her and was rewarded by an outraged glare, followed by, "Oh my god!" I don't know. That just struck me as particularly funny.
It was funny.
I mean, there's always really good side characters, but there were some particularly good ones in here because I like the host of the castle. I
I mean, he was the
Dubois.
worst. He was not a good person, but also
he wasn't a good person, but he was interesting.
very interesting. Yeah, for sure.
I loved Jack sneaking up on the wyvern because he thought it wasn't a real animal.
Mm-hmm.
And then it opened its eye and stared at him, and he like freaked out and jumped up a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, I have to get out of this tree before they come back because then they're gonna like my manliness is in question.
Right. I really liked getting to see William and Sharish, whatever her name is, on a mission because we said kind of at the end of the second one that we would like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. It was fun getting to see them operate.
And Will being like, I will skin him alive. And she's like, no, you won't. He's my favorite cousin. And he was just like, I don't care that he's your favorite cousin.
He's also like, you have multiple to spare.
You have lots of cousins still. It's
get
fine.
rid of this one.
Oh, but I did love that Gaston's he said that he loved his cousin Calder, Uncle Calder, cousin Calder, because Calder treated him like a normal person and no one else would.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh.
Yeah. People
he's like, we lived apart.
It's hard for them to put that aside and just treat you how they should.
Yeah.
Well, he said that they always treated them differently. That's why they lived apart from the houses, the family house. And he said, but Calder never did.
And I think it was interesting that we got that part of Gaston's history from his perspective in this book.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get to, because it was always someone else's perspective on the events last time. So to hear him talk about his relationship with Calder, I think was
and he
nice.
Said he's gonna mail the head of the guy that chopped off his mom's legs.
Yep.
He's like, I think they'll like it. And Calder's like, I think there's a like reward for that head. And he's like, I think I'm gonna send it to my family instead.
Yeah.
Just when we said, oh, this felt a lot less dark than the previous one.
Right.
Look,
I stand by it.
This whole series is very much like fall/October vibes. It's all darker than like you would expect it to be.
Yeah.
My entire week has been, oh, look, it's violent. This is good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just trying to see if I had anything else highlighted.
I don't know.
I did like that this was Jack and George's first fight and that there were consequences to it. And that it linked in Jack needing to rend the discussion from the start of the book to actually giving him that outlet so that he didn't lose it.
Right.
Because I was waiting for that scene, actually. I was waiting for it to happen somewhere in there. I'm glad it was an intentional one rather than him.
I still felt so bad, though, when they were like, he cried. And I'm like, poor baby.
Yeah.
He tried so hard not to lose control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, the other scene that I really liked was when they all tested Jack, and they were so mean to him. Like I was like,
poor Jack.
Mm-hmm.
But I
was just like, my poor boy.
Yeah, but he recognized it.
Mm-hmm. And it makes me want a Jack romance in the future. So I'm like, we barely saw Jack, other than him being like the most hated person in the innkeepers. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The frenemy of the innkeepers.
Yeah.
Just because he's a cat. But
and he found a cat.
Oh, it was so sweet. He saved the kitty.
Yeah.
Between the cat and the raccoon. What was it? Ming the merciless? Ling the merciless.
Ling the merciless, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny too.
I kind of wish they'd utilized Turd more.
I know.
That would have been so funny.
She was cute though. I also like that even though Calder was like upset that Jack was causing violence when they're supposed to be undercover, that he saw like the cat and he was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "My cat, I saved him." And he's like, "I can't be mad at you for saving the cat."
Mhm.
Like was it violence without reason, I guess. Like there was
Yeah.
a reason that he got upset.
Yeah. It was interesting too with George and Jack and the like cult stuff
Mm.
and all of that and kind of the magical artifact and the natural magic power being amplified by it and the cult mentality and everything that was interesting. Um and Jack like telling that girl that George like thought she was ugly or whatever it was. He
He
said
has
to
a
try and get
girlfriend
her
and she's
away.
prettier than you.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Fuck you." And he said, "Fuck you too, bye," and like closed the door. Like
And then
that's how you just end a conversation.
he gets George out of it, and George is goes straight out and talks her right up again. He was like,
Yep.
"Hey," and it worked. Like
It did.
Well, wasn't it when George was talking to Audrey? So I think this is the quote. It's when George is going, "You're right. My problem's the biggest problems ever. No, honestly, it's horrible to be me. I'm rich, talented, and I make girls cry. My past is tragic, and I wouldn't want to burden you with it. It's a pain I must suffer alone in the rain, in silence."
yeah, that was great.
He knows
That
what
was
he's
great.
about. Like for being a kid, he knows what
Yeah.
he's about.
Very much so. And they even talked about that at the beginning, how at school George like looks out the window and sighs tragically. And
It's all calculated. It's all calculated. It's so good.
yeah. And you can see how he turns into the person he is in Innkeepers.
Yes, 100%.
Oh yeah. Speaking of talks, enlightening talks, one that made me want a Gaston romance was him talking to Calder about, he was just like, "Oh well, if something wrong happens, just kill them all.
Yeah.
They're slavers, just murder all of them." And Calder's like, "Well, do you know that for a fact? Do you know that there aren't like children in there that might be caught in the crossfire? Like, do we need to kill them?" And like talking him through morality, and is just
Yeah.
like, you need to be able to face yourself, like at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Which I
And
think
then
is
he was like
important.
talking about like him having a partner later on in life and stuff.
Yeah. Which I think is important because in the epilogue, or at the end, when George meets with, what's her name from the mirror?
Nancy.
Nancy.
I don't remember her
And
last name, but I know it's Nancy.
Yeah. And he basically commits himself to that cause, knowing full well what will be expected of him. Like it's very interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll see any of that in this next book, this last book, if we'll see any of George working for them or not. Because we have Richard and somebody else that we haven't met yet, as far as I can tell.
As far as I know, the next one is set mostly in the weird.
It has to be, he can't pass into the broken. He has too much magic. So yeah, it has to be the weird or the edge. But yeah, I think you're right that it's all basically weird.
Yeah.
Because
which I'm going to be honest, I still struggle to wrap my head around the different factions in the weird, and I get confused.
Yeah.
And maybe this is just because of my lack of understanding of US geography.
Yeah, that would be difficult. I wouldn't know what we're talking about if we were talking about
I'm just reading it going, yeah, okay, I'll trust your judgment, and I know roughly which states are the good state or states and which ones are the bad guys in the series, and I'm like, and that's about where I'm staying. I'm just going to stay in my lane. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We were on the West Coast for most of this one. We were in California and Oregon, weren't we?
Speaking of, it was cool that we got like that Egyptian weird faction rather, and that was cool.
I do love when they said, "Oh, is her accent from Georgia?" And he went, "She's from Florida." And it was just like, it would bother people who were from one state, especially like the Georgia-Florida line, to be called the other one.
Okay. Actually, it is the Edge because she was a blue blood that went to the edge to build a new home after her marriage
We're
crumbled.
talking about the new one?
Yeah, and then he's brought to her for treatment.
Okay.
Oh.
So maybe we are in the edge.
Okay.
I mean, they all take place at least partially in
Although
the Edge,
he's
like
on
the
a
Edge
quest
series.
to wipe out slavers in the weird, so maybe we're in the weird a lot too. Who
Well,
knows?
We'll find out when we read it, and that's
I mean,
fine.
this last one we passed through all three,
Yes.
Yeah, but he can't go in the broken, so we won't.
so we can't go in there. No broken.
And she probably
broken
can't
for you.
either. Although maybe she can because Declan.
Declan could. Declan's special.
I'm so confused. I'm like, how can you be so powerful and also in the broken? Pick a lane. I don't know what you're doing.
He's the special snowflake, and we'll just smile and nod.
Yeah.
It's okay. They're allowed a special snowflake.
This was their early work. Leave their plot holes alone.
They were busy trying to have their series be in the edge. They needed.
Yeah.
They need things to happen.
Oh, what else did I have down there?
I felt so bad for Audrey and her terrible, terrible family.
Oh, her family were awful.
Yeah. But they
And
died.
Sorry?
They died.
Oh, they
Yeah,
died.
well-
Her dad didn't. Her dad's still alive.
I
Well,
think
that's
that
what I was
her
going to say.
dad-
I'm
Isn't that
disappointed.
how they found her brother? Was through her dad?
Oh, that's true.
Oh, did
So I
they?
think that they killed her dad before going to her brother, and her brother told them about her.
Yeah.
But
So is this
I could be
where
wrong.
my violent book streak comes in? I'm like, well, he didn't die on page, so that's disappointing.
I thought they did similar channels to what Calder did. So I thought that they didn't touch their dad because I thought their dad was like nowhere near anymore.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I
could
don't
be wrong.
remember specifically about the dad, but I remember the brother, and I remember thinking it was weird because I wasn't sure why it wasn't the father that they had on in that scene. But
I think the brother was closer.
yeah, well, I think he was easier to track down because he was in the system.
Yeah, he was also trapped in a facility, so he can't run away anyway.
Yes.
I did like his fairly useless teleporting power.
Yeah, can't go very far.
He can travel up to 20 feet, but then he's basically out of magic for the next few days.
Yep.
I'm like, man, that's kind of a useless power.
And it's also like, and you value this person over your daughter who would do anything for you.
Yeah.
I hope she gets to be in that lock-picking competition next year.
Yes. So true.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Oh my.
Also, they got to travel by Wyvern for the entire book
That was cool.
with a cabin on its back.
Right. Yeah. That was neat.
That was very cool.
I would like one of those. That would be nice.
It would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I'm trying to think. What else?
The fight scene in the church was very interesting. I know we talked about Jack running and stuff, but there was a lot going on there.
Did we know that George had a shield power?
Maybe.
No, we knew he could flash, and we knew he could use it. But I think in previous books they've mostly focused on his necromancy.
And
Yeah.
also he would have been younger, and it takes time and practice to do things with the magic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure.
And it's probably something he spent more time working on with Rose and the Weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Since then.
Right. And also he didn't have the drain on his magic of keeping hundreds of things animated.
Yeah. This is also true.
Yeah, so it could have been something he couldn't work on before at all, besides the age
Yeah.
thing.
And I did like that he kept the birds
Hmm.
from the test
Mhm.
so that they could still communicate.
Yeah. He kept them animated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing that I liked in the castle scene was Cerise and Audrey's conversations. And the fact that she's basically trying to sell Calder to Audrey. It's like,
Mhm.
no, he's got all of these good qualities too. It's like, why wouldn't you want to marry him?
I just love how
Mhm.
subtle her matchmaking is, which was not at all like a sledgehammer.
Also, Cerise having that man that they were there for, that they were tracking, believing that she
Francis?
was, this damsel in distress with her brute husband, and then he
Yeah.
has to watch her slice through everybody.
Yep.
That was funny.
Was it?
What an idiot. He's so dumb.
Misogyny, it'll get you every time.
Well, the reason
And
that
arrogant.
that they had to capture him in the first place was because no, they like my art. They don't like the fact that I'm drawing maps of how to get into like super important buildings. They
Yeah.
like the art, and I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, that was something, alright.
So dumb.
Very questionable.
It was interesting. So I think it's the second book this week that I've read that was sort of a magic user creating art in very weird ways
Wait,
to
what was the first
the
one?
benefit. And it's like, yeah, you're playing off that arrogance of an artist, and not to say that all artists are arrogant, but that perception of the arrogance of artists that their work trumps
Mhm.
whatever other people are seeing in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was so interesting.
Yeah, it's an
I think
easy pitfall for them.
Yeah.
For some of them. Yeah, that was something.
It was fun. I enjoyed this one.
It was also interesting that William and everyone else basically couldn't help him escape, and Audrey literally like talked the owner of the castle into attacking for her.
Yeah.
And then just walked out of the dungeon because she could unlock it.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, it's hard to lock someone up when they can undo the locks.
Right.
I mean, they didn't know that was her power, but I just think that was really funny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it was interesting, that whole sequence where William and Cerise had to leave,
Mhm.
even though they didn't want to,
Mhm.
and that Gaston had a loophole that allowed him to stay,
Mhm.
and that then they came up with that plan.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think sometimes it's nice when your main characters don't have to be the ones doing the fighting.
Mhm.
Particularly since they've set this world up to be like there are rivalries and there are groups that are adversarial.
Right.
If you can maneuver someone else to do it for you so that all you have to do is walk in to get the person that you're looking for,
Mhm.
you
And it
don't need
was very true to her capabilities and her character, right?
Yeah.
Made sense. And I like that something about Ilona Andrews that they do very well is they, as formulaic as their books can be, because they very much have a formula that works for them, right? They have a lot of components that they like to mishmash or include. They are usually very aware of who this character is and what this character would do and how they would handle this situation, and they don't always do it exactly the same no matter what.
Yeah. And I think we like every fight sequence we have in any of their books are very calculated around who is involved in that fight sequence.
Yeah.
And if you don't need to have like could they have put Audrey into that scene Probably. They probably could have done it, and they probably could have written it well, but she didn't need to be there. And it
Right.
wasn't, and us seeing that sequence was not beneficial for the story.
Right.
It didn't move the story forward, but we knew that it was going on in the background.
Yeah. It made sense.
It did.
Like even in the castle when Charisse and Will and Audrey were escaping and they were stuck by the door, she didn't fight. They were just like, "We got you. Do your thing."
Yeah. Played
So,
here
like they never even really expected her to like hold her own in a fight. They were just like, "You have a power that is useful. Use the useful power."
Right.
In a lot of ways, Audrey reminds me a lot of Dina, actually, in terms of if I was thinking about the closest other female character that they have. Because she's capable of defending herself, she's capable of standing up for herself, but her abilities or her magic is different, is mostly used for another purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that comparison.
Random thoughts that I have without actually thinking them through.
Yes, this was an enjoyable read.
It was. And yes, less body horror than the last one.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
For sure. Aside from a few beheadings.
I don't even consider that hot horror.
No, I don't consider it body horror.
They did, however, go into a lot of detail in the church scene when Helena came in afterwards. Because they were like, "Oh, and here is this body positioned this way with these marks. Oh, here's this one hanging from the ceiling. It seems to have been dripping blood." And like
and brains.
And brains. Yeah, it was a lot of like that one scene was just very strange because it was just like, we're going to talk about all the gory details that happened before they showed up.
Well, Helena was trying to figure out how many people were involved.
And she was wrong.
And she was wrong. She only had 3.
Yeah, and there were 5.
And there were 5. But I think it was interesting that, you know, look, at least she was observant and she picked up that one of them was smaller than others and probably a child. But I don't know. I feel like, particularly with the hand and the people involved, or the hand involved in this one, like we know their motivations, but yeah, I think that was a little bit more removed from their story. I'm not as interested in the hand. Curious to see what happens with Snake in the next book. I'm assuming he meets his end, finally.
We can only hope.
Hopefully William gets his revenge. Actually, there's a few people who'll be fighting over who ends Snake at this point in time.
Very true, very true.
Yeah, you've read it, haven't you, Julie? I'm excited. I want Richard's story. Because I kind of like how we've gotten to know them, and Calder was the one who was organising all of the marriages. And Cerise was the one, and Cerise and Calder were keeping the family going. Whereas Richard was just steering everyone on the home front, so to speak.
He's like my least favorite, so I'm kind of like, oh, I hope I like this one.
Yeah. I'm intrigued.
I will once again wait till 3 days before the live show. Go, oh yeah, I should probably get that from the library, and then stress Heather out.
Yeah, we may have all stressed Heather out a little bit because we all didn't start it until this week.
Yep.
But I was more worried that I would because last time I didn't take very good notes and I forgot because I read it at the start of the month. But then, yeah, I think I was saying earlier, the chapters felt a lot longer. And so it took me a lot longer to read. I had to read it over 2 days. And it wasn't that long. It's not that long, like comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
Your books usually take me a couple days. And yes, you all do stress me out, but that doesn't mean that your reading habits have to reflect my reading habits or my timeline.
Oh, I can tell you
No,
my reading habits will not change.
Right.
well, that's why we give you the warning, the 1 week warning, but normally
Which I
I'm a little better
appreciate.
than that.
I very much appreciate the 1 week warning.
This week felt like a perfect storm because I had a whole bunch of review copies that were coming out.
Mm.
And I kind of, because of the release dates and my filming schedule, it all just sort of fell in 1 week. And I'm like, yeah, no, I've mapped out how I'm going to do this. And then I got to the week, I'm like, you didn't think this through properly.
Yeah. I haven't been reading all that much this week.
Yeah. I would really like
I'm
this series to
trying.
be done in graphic audio.
That'd be cool.
I don't
I'd
know.
be
I just-
surprised if they do this one, but
I want more books of Jack, Gaston, George, and Lark.
Yes.
the plight of being an Ilona Andrews reader. You want everybody to have their book.
Yeah.
I'm like, George got his. I want everybody else. George and Lark got theirs. I want everyone else to get theirs.
I don't know what type of horror it would be or if it would work for the people who really liked the second book, but they just published a slasher short that's not any of their characters on their website. It's free. It's just short, I think. I think it's free. They had been like a magazine or something had paid them to write it, and then it didn't really work out. So they just did a random little horror short. So I'm not going to read it. I would have read it probably if it had characters that I already cared about from their books. But so, you know.
I do like me some gory slasher horror, so.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. So it was commissioned 14 years ago.
Wow.
And didn't pan out.
That is a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They changed a couple things about it. Or Ilona did, at least.
Cool. Well, that's something else I can read if I have time.
There you go.
I will save it for when we are officially done with Ilona Andrews' books, and then I'm sad.
You won't remember they exist.
I know I won't. And then one of you will remind me, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's a thing. And then I'll go read it, and I'll be happy.
It'll be next year. I won't be reminding you of anything. I won't remember.
We have 4 more books till we're all caught up on Ilona Andrews.
No, I have faith that they're going to publish something between now and then.
This. Is this the right time to say I'm rereading Magic Strikes in graphic audio as my background when I'm doing chores?
I might do that. I might, because I was like, what am I going to read? I feel very like blah. That might be my audio. Would be the first one.
Yeah.
Because I think the first 3 are out. Oh my God, it's an Izzy.
Izzy! Out the
hello.
Whatever. I think the second Kate Daniels is where I would be on a reread in August or September, whatever, but I didn't end up reading it. So it's going to happen sometime soon.
Because I think the graphic for the first 3 are out, and I would not mind reading that.
They're just
graphic audio.
I have listened to some of the graphic audio because what is it? The Janine Frost, the Cat and Bones, Night Huntress. There's one like very graphic sex scene in like book 2, and they went for it. They went for it in that audio, and I was just like, bravo. I didn't think y'all would, because sometimes they just gloss over things.
Yeah, that's funny.
But no, they went for it. They had the sound effects and everything, and I'm like, okay.
The kiss noises.
The kiss noises
They
are
are.
interesting. I think everything
Their
else
kiss noises are kind of
is
weird,
fine.
along with the gasps. There's a lot of
Yeah.
gasping.
Well, look, I did just
They do.
finish. Oh, what was I listening to? I think I just listened to the scene where Kate and Andrea are at the Pantheon and they're having lunch, and Raphael comes in, and then Curran comes in, and that scene is great. And
That
Raphael
is great.
that
That is a
one.
great scene. Where
Right.
doesn't he like unbolt the chair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Izzy, we need to start the graphic audios.
Well, it probably is. Oh gosh. Well, if you are also looking for short, good graphic audios, I did just listen to /reread Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. Good life choice.
Oh, I forgot that
You like-
they started the graphic ones for that.
Yeah, first two are out for that.
For All Systems Red. I need to do that too.
Hmm.
I also
keep
feel bad my Bookopoly / Black Alina has just turned into Megan reading Indigenous horror, which is neither of those things.
There are worse things, though.
I just
Same,
they do
Julie.
such good horror
Same.
books.
Yeah. But see, the thing with Kate Daniels, I feel like, is once you've read it through once, you'll always just keep coming back to it at some point. And it's always just sitting there. And when you really need it, it'll just be there for you.
Very true. I would like Nalini Singh's books in graphic audio. That would also be pretty cool.
That would be amazing. Actually, Nalini Singh was on the Fated Mates podcast, and I need to listen to that because they've been doing a series of interviews with people influential in the book community, in the romance community over time. And I'm like, I'm going to save that one for when I just want to sit and listen to something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they released the title of the next Sci Trinity book.
I think I might be a book behind, 1 or 2 books behind, because I basically stopped when our book club stopped.
Did you read Elf and Night? Don't worry. So I think there's 2, maybe 3. Hang on, Elf and Night, Last Guard, Resonant Surge. Anyway. Ooh, that's nice. I do like reading this series with my eyeballs, though. Anyway, now that we're well and truly sidetracked, any other final thoughts on Fate's Edge? Aside from, we liked it, and we liked the couple, and we liked Jack and George and Gaston, and Megan's just removed herself.
I hope that the final book has a satisfying balance of our new couple and all the characters that we want to see show up, especially for the plot wrap up, the final fights and stuff. Hoping that we have a good balance there, which I think we will. But I guess just that I'm excited to get to see Richard, because I would definitely like to know more about him as a character. But I don't know. This one was just everything that I wanted it to be. Like everything that I kind of hoped would happen in this one happened. So
my entire headphone sound system Bluetooth decided that it didn't want to work anymore.
How rude.
I had to just close it and try again.
Fair enough.
But you're back.
You're back. And we appreciate that. Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Megan?
I wish that there were Generation 2 books for the Edge.
You never know.
Shocking.
You never know. We'll just continue to hold out hope.
Yes.
Alrighty. Well, I think we haven't set a date for next month's live show, but it'll be roughly around this time of the month.
Oh,
did
think-
when is American Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving is the 23rd, so we should probably try to have it the 17th if
Yeah.
it's doable for everyone. That's the Friday night before Thanksgiving week. Because I don't think we want to do it on Black Friday. or anything.
Chime in.
Yeah, because the Friday after that would then be in December. So I'm good for the 17th.
I mean, it's up to you all, but I would even argue if we can't do the 17th to move up even earlier rather than trying to push it off because you're just getting into the holidays. It's not going to get easier.
Yeah, I will say this last one, because I think we had a slightly longer gap because I think we did number 2 a week early. It felt like it'd been 2 or 3 months since I'd read an Edge book.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what's happening? Who's this?
Okay. So it'll either be the 10th or the 17th for you guys.
Yeah.
I think either of those will work for me currently.
Okay. So this is a watch this space.
Yeah.
And I'll put it in my reset.
I
on the
can't
first.
tell if Izzy is saying she needs the 17th is good or she needs it to be the 10th, but
I think she means she just needs a week notice.
no, she doesn't. That's not what that means. I think I don't know.
Her helpful
Not
comment
being
was,
helpful.
bye, sorry,
Oh,
I'm a
the
terrible
10th.
book club member. The
Okay.
10th, okay.
We'll go with the 10th.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Okay. I will schedule that so that it goes up.
I'm
this week.
sure that our 2 viewers are very ready to see the 3 of us on the 10th while Izzy has some reason why she can't be there.
Well, Izzy has only been at one of the Edge book clubs so far.
Hey, she read this one.
It's true.
She finished before the live. We have to give her some credit. And
She
also
did.
she's literally
She's having a lovely, lovely time.
yeah, she's not
Yeah.
home or
She's-
anything.
she's
It's
on
very
holiday.
understandable. Not that Izzy cares. She's fine.
Well,
She knows.
Yes, apparently they have plans on the 17th. So
All good. I was going to say that's roughly around her birthday, isn't it?
I don't know. Probably. I can't.
I'm
keep
a
track of
terrible
y'all.
friend. I don't remember people's birthdays.
I just
Um,
wait for you to tell me that it's coming, and then I'm like,
No, cool. My birthday's in a week, Heather. My birthday is a
remind
week
me
from
next week. Um,
I will be insufferable. I'll be like, Heather, it's my birthday in 3 days. Heather, it's my birthday in 2 days.
I have children. If you think that's going to get to me, you are wrong.
Oh, I don't think it would get to you. I think you would just be like, and Megan is on mute, and I'll talk to her later.
No, I'd be like, yeah, you. Woo.
All right. On that
All right,
note,
so the
as we just
10th.
ended this- so the 10th.
Definitely doing the 10th.
11:10.
11:10. Yeah, you say 11:10, I say 10:11, but
That's fair.
we'll be fine.
You say 10/11?
Yeah, 10th
Yeah,
of the 11th.
America's the only one that puts the month before the day. All other
Weirdos.
countries go day, month, year because they go smallest to biggest.
This is what make America great again, right? This is why we are the best.
We write it how you would say it. You would say January 10th, 10/10, or 2014.
The
So it'd be
only
1/10/14.
the only time I put the month before the date is if I need to file something and I need it to stay in month order. That's the only time I'll write it the opposite way. Otherwise, we always put the date first. But anyway,
Yeah, I was
It's all
always
good.
confused in Korea because I was like, oh crud, is this written day, month, or month, day? Because it could go
Right.
either way. It's like
Right.
Or
It's
four
much
days,
easier
four
if it's
hours.
after the 13th. So
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I
Yeah.
can clearly tell which one's
Exactly.
which. But
I'm like, it's 4/5. Does that mean that it's due? Am I good for another month? Is it good?
Right.
All right. On that note, thank you for joining us. If you're watching the replay, thanks for reading along. And we will see you next month on the 10th of November.
which is
Bye.
Veterans Day. That's fine, right?
Yeah.